Welcome to Tiny Marketing. This is Sarah Noel Block, and this is a podcast that helps B2B service businesses do more with less. Learn lean, actionable, organic marketing strategies you can implement today. No fluff, just powerful growth tactics that work. Ready to scale smarter? Hit that subscribe button and start growing your business with Tiny Marketing.
Hi, my name is Hailey Denker. I'm the founder of Hailey Danker Marketing.
Awesome. So today we're talking about using events for lead generation. That's something that you've got mad talent in. So let's get into it. How did you first stumble upon this particular lead generation strategy?
I think my approach in general is very intuitive. So it felt like um, an intuitive kind of grassroots way to help our clients connect with their target audience. And so even as we're talking right now, using events like my clients hosting events as lead magnet, and then my clients showing up and participating in events, as a sponsor or an advertiser, both of those have kind of naturally been a part of almost all of our client strategies. And especially, I would say, in the last year and a half, I think we've found a lot more of the quality leads are coming from these in-person events. Now, virtual events are also an awesome opportunity, but in particular, like where we've seen a ton of success has been in in-person events to kind of fuel a pipeline.
Okay, let's talk about that. So you you have two different strategies. You host them and you're also attending other people's. So let's do the host part first. What kind of events? How do you get people to attend? How are you generating leads?
Sure. So, two clients in particular come to mind when thinking of hosting events. So one of them is a women networking community. So very natural for them to be hosting events, but using them as lead gen has been really crucial. And the way that they've shifted their events to be more than just, here's a networking event for you to meet people and find value in our group, has been the follow-up. So, making sure that guests don't leave with just like a business card and like a good, happy feeling. They
Yeah.
leave with the next step. So for this particular example, for this networking lead, they leave with either a meeting already set up with a local chapter leader to talk about next steps, a sign up, an invitation to sign up for something virtual next week, a coffee connection, but there has been some call to action and next step in place, so that they're put into a pipeline and already brought to that next step. Another example has been in the power of being able to list your events on other places and not just rely on your own social and email list, but listing on everything from, your local town and city events calendars. There are so many different ones, to Eventbrite, to even Reddit. Reddit has been an awesome place to find people who are looking for whatever type of event you're doing and to say, oh, hey, I've heard that this is this, and plop the link. We get so many people that way to attend our events.
Okay, that shocks me. Reddit scares the hell out of me because people are just so mean.
Right.
They're so brutal. And they're so anti-marketing. So this is
Well, I'll tell you
so
a secret. So
intriguing.
I don't post as a marketer. I don't post as an
It's
advertiser.
so anonymous there. You could get away with it.
Right. So I post anonymously as like I just happened to see this myself. Because oftentimes it's true. Like, oftentimes I'm also attending the event, or my friends will think the event is cool and they're
I
attending.
happen to be attending this, okay? It's not a big deal.
Right. I happen to be showing up, but a lot of people are, there is a dark side of Reddit, but there is a big there are communities there of people looking for what you have to offer. So maybe people are looking for something to do that doesn't involve alcohol, and maybe you have a non-alcoholic spirit, brand, and you're going to be doing a tasting at, a local coffee shop or something like that. There are
Mhm.
people on Reddit who have already created and generated this community. So it's only natural for you to show up and let them know that you're having an event.
Yes. I mean, that makes sense. So do you just do a search and like filter it by time?
Yeah, very old school. Um, this is when we really try to like get into the mindset of that ideal client. So um, going beyond using this like non-alcoholic brand example, going beyond non-alcohol mocktail class, so, sober bars, going beyond thinking about that and also searching like sober curious or even health and wellness, and just
Mhm.
plopping this in all of these communities that you think people might be interested. Um, Tends to like really get the message out there, which is why, again, events can be so successful, because you're not just talking about like, here's my product, here's my product.
Yeah.
We're talking about like, come have a good time with like-minded people. If it's like a wellness event, if it's um, a networking event, a business event, you're able to talk about, you know me, Sarah, I talk about the vibe all the time. You're like setting up this vibe. You're setting up, this is the kind of person that enjoys what we offer. So it doesn't feel as salesy or marketing. It feels like more community building.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. One other thing I wanted to glob onto there is that the setting up the next meeting in that first event. So, question, do you do that in like a nurture sequence like with attendees, or are you doing that in person?
Um, Three different ways that we do that. One Well, first, so yes, we absolutely are collecting all emails, having a nurture sequence, and also making sure that in our nurture sequence, like most of our clients who do this will use some kind of CRM, that there's a
Mhm.
personalized touch point. So, yeah, maybe it's an automated email first, but then is there someone like, we have our team take meticulous notes and be like, I met the following people. So if you and I connected at an event, if I hosted an event and you and I connected, we're making a note that in some point of their follow-up, there should be a personal note from me. There should be like, hey, Sarah, I so loved meeting you, whether that's a LinkedIn message, a DM, something. We're not just sending out a nurture sequence, we're also really engaging with them, following them on their socials, connecting with them on LinkedIn.
Mhm.
We're also capturing as much information from them as we can on site. So if we can set up a call on site, we're making sure that we have like the tech to do that really easily. So we have an iPad set up that has, you know, um, a calendar for like next meeting. Oh, let me like set this up for you really quick.
Smart.
QR codes throughout, the event with some of our lead magnets. So for that women's networking community, we have a bunch of resources like um, 7 tips to network better at your next event. And we have all of those around so that we're learning a little bit more about what type of content they're looking for. Um, Raffle entries. We have lots of ways to capture their information and potentially even again book that next step on site. And then we're also designing the event for engagement so that again we're able to follow up with them in a much more natural way afterwards. So what I mean by that is um, um, interactive demos, branded selfie stations, um, content on site, or at least places to create content on site.
Mhm.
There's this amazing photo wall and they're posting a picture. It's so natural for us the next day to reach out and be like, oh my gosh, we loved meeting you last night, which starts that conversation up again. We just had I coached a photographer. She was going to be a sponsor at an event. She's like, I want it to be really engaging. I don't necessarily want to do everybody's headshots at this event. So what she did was she set up a table with all these different props and created an opportunity for people to create a flat lay with their business card. So they set
Oh,
their
that's
business
so
cards
cute.
down, put like some of them were these giant like gold paper clips. Some of them were flowers. Some were sunglasses, like all these different things. So you can kind of curate your brand and take a picture. And people loved it and were
Yeah.
coming and
I've never seen that before. It's so clever.
it was so great. And that really helped. And afterwards, people were posting that photo and tagging her. So
Nice.
just in case she wasn't able to meet every single person that she was interacting, she was collecting their information that way too, which was really strategic.
That is brilliant. I love that. Okay, so for context, anybody who's listening or watching and doesn't understand how to use a CRM for an event like this, I'll give an example. So if you used HubSpot, you would be able to collect that information from an iPad right there on the spot. You can scan their cards and it'll go right into it. You can also schedule the next meetings right on there because it's integrated into the CRM. So those are a couple ways. And then when you were talking about like adding in a task for personalization, that's something that you can do as a task in a sequence. So you can have the initial like thanks for coming email automated, and then the next task is connect on LinkedIn, send them a DM, and it has your notes right in there because everything is in the same space. I don't use HubSpot, but all my clients do, and that's why I use that as an example.
Yeah, one of our clients uses Entreport and it's very similar. And they can then they'll start to assign those tasks out. So for that women's networking group, they have a bunch of different chapter leaders. So they'll, based on location, assign it to the appropriate person to
That's
then
smart.
just you have a sales team. It's a great resource.
Yeah, that is really smart, especially because you work with a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Where they're in lots of different locations. Give me the
Multi-location service industry.
Yeah, multi-location. We'll call it that. Franchise is the word that I was thinking,
Oh,
but multi-location works also. So the person who's hosting the event is not necessarily the person that would need to talk to that person later. So that makes sense for like to be able to assign out on the CRM.
Yep.
So let's get into that second piece of it, the sponsored events. So you gave that awesome example of the photographer. Can you show me a couple other ways we can use sponsorship in events, especially if you're smaller and you might
Yeah.
not have a massive budget?
So, okay, I'll give you two examples that for my own business. So, I sponsored an event and I never want to sponsor an event where um the only thing that I'm getting is like my logo on something. I really want a way to kind of engage with people a little bit further. So I know there was an event that I sponsored where I was the drink sponsor. So I got to come up with a signature drink. And then I also asked if I could do cocktail napkins and stirrers. And they said, of course. So I did these really fun cocktail napkins that had a QR code that you could scan. If you know me, you know I'm obsessed with all things like country and cowboy boots. So our cocktail was the spicy cowgirl, and it was like margarita. And then I got these drink toppers that I think a lot of brides use, but I put my logo on it, and it's made out of like sugar or something that dissolves. So, but for the first couple of minutes, my logo's on top of it. So I created something that was people were talk about later.
Yeah.
That was worth me, sponsoring. And of course, I wore my cowboy boots and I talked to people about it. So that was great. Coming up in my local community, there's a multi-chamber event. So it's all of these different chamber of commerce coming together. What's the plural of Chamber of Commerce is?
Sing bees.
Chamber of Commerce? Maybe that's right. But so they
come by.
But they offer, you can do a table. And I reached out and I said, and I don't actually, this is like literally happening this week. I have a call with them next week. So I don't even know if this is possible. This is how I'm thinking about these opportunities. I said, a table isn't totally how I would want to market my brand. Are there any other opportunities? Here are 5 ideas I have on how I could add value to your event. And I said I could set up a panel talking about, marketing your business. I could live audit some businesses. I could create like a content creation station. I wanted to, and I'm fully willing to like pay to play, to be there.
Yeah.
It's just a better way to demonstrate kind of who I am as a marketer and what I would want my clients to do. We did, for this plumbing company, we did a local event. They had a table and they were planning on just doing like brochures and giveaway keychains. This was a local town day, very family friendly event. So I said, we have to do some engaging game for the kids. Because then the parents are going to bring the kids over, the kids are going to play the game, and then we can talk to the parents. So we did that clog your toilet game with the bean bags, and the kids were playing, and the owner would then introduce himself to the parents, talk to them, give out his card, and he got some really great clients from that event. It's just about remembering that this needs to be an intentional, engaging opportunity. If you don't have a follow-up plan and you're not looking at this as a way to generate leads, not just clients, then you're just throwing a party and you're just putting yours out on a table. It needs to be something really engaging and that really expresses like the personality of your brand so that you're memorable later.
You are so creative. I love it. One thing though that I want to just highlight that you said is you can push back. You're giving these people money. It's okay if you don't like the options to suggest other options.
Oh, all the time. A lot of my clients will be like, oh, we sponsor this event every year. Hayley, can you send them our logo? And what I'll do is I'll reach out and I'll say, hey, here's client's logo attached. Wondering if there's any other ways that we could get involved with this event. We're so excited. Could we bring branded water bottles for everybody if it was like a wellness class? Could we? And I'm really approaching it not in a what do we get for our sponsorship way, but how can we add value? Because the event organizers really appreciate that. And they're thinking we're this wonderful partner. It really is win-win because we're creating a better, more engaging event for their attendees. And they just want their attendees to have a great time and come back again next year. So yeah, definitely reach out if you see an event that is full of your ideal clients. Reach out and ask if there's a way for you to be involved, to donate something in kind, to do a speech. I'm constantly reaching out and asking people if they need another speaker, if they need, pens or something. I'm constantly trying to get involved with more events in a more creative way. I actually wouldn't just give pens.
You realize I'm not the pen girl. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the virtual side of it. So all of this is replicable online in virtual experiences. So how can you create an engaged experience during a virtual event?
A couple of things that I think the most important thing in marketing an event is to still remember that there are, I'm sure you've talked about before in your show, different client personas and for your ideal client. And I think for a lot of people, when they market an event specifically, they forget some of the best practices of marketing, which is if you're trying to reach everybody, you might not reach anybody. So to
Yes.
remember that there are still different people that need to connect your message to even want to attend the event. Some people want to make sure that they're going to get, people learn in different ways. Some people will want this kind of experience. Some people want that kind of experience. So, segmenting your list based off of behavior and what different people in your audience want, and letting them know that this event is for them, I think is
Mhm.
important. And then providing different ways to continue the engaging part. So I know for events before, we've offered sponsorship opportunities for virtual events. And what that's looked like has been the hosts of the event and the speakers will have a branded Zoom background of someone else's logo. And they'll talk for a couple of minutes and have that logo there. I know if you're doing a virtual event, there's so many different platforms, but even Zoom offers different ways that you can engage with, whether you're doing polls, having somebody moderate the chat so that it can still feel like you're encouraging people to ask questions. I know if ever I do an event, I'm like, please come off mute. You won't throw me off. Ask a question at any time, but that might not be the way that you work, but you still want people to be engaging in the chat. And I think like breakout rooms can also be a great way to keep people engaged. I think that's probably the challenge with an online virtual event is it's not like in person where you can walk around and kind of
Yeah.
interact, but you can replicate that with an online event by using breakout rooms, by asking questions, doing polls, and connecting them to something outside of the event. So whether that's referencing a podcast, referencing a Facebook group, a past post of yours, a certain website, referencing an email that's coming or something that you're going to give away in a future email, making sure that they're part of your ecosystem of things that you're doing and they're not just showing up to this event and then leaving, should be a big part of your strategy. And I think is more of a challenge for online.
Yeah. I think keeping your virtual event like focused. So
Yeah.
you might have 20-minute increments. So people are like actively doing something during those 20 minutes and then you shift so people don't get bored as easily. Keep
Yeah.
them as tight as you can too. Like they don't have to be long. They can be just segmented. And then if you're doing sponsorships for someone else's virtual event, you can get your information, like maybe you do a training video that appears on the thank you page for that virtual event and it moves them to your segment.
Yeah.
So there are options like that, or getting your logo in the lower thirds of someone's virtual event. You can be the moderator for one of those breakout rooms, a very specific one that is like
Yeah.
your special skill.
Yeah. I love those ideas. It's all about keeping people engaged and making sure again that they're leaving with the prompt of the next step of engaging with you.
Mhm. Now, is there anything else that you want the audience to know before we wrap up?
Um, Again, I think it's like any other marketing campaign in that you want to make sure that you have a really clear objective. So is the goal of your event to um and I ask this again whenever we're hosting an event and we have sponsors, I remind the sponsors what would make this really successful for you. Do you want to get email addresses because you have a great nurture sequence works? Do you want to book consult calls? Are you looking to get new member signups right from the event? Having a goal will help you figure out kind of what you want and what you should do. Um, Design your event to be engaging, whether that's moments to, take content, having them do something, have them interact, because then they're just gonna connect and remember you more. Um, and then the follow-up is everything. Again, making sure that after the event, you're thanking them, you're showing them photos. If you had a professional photographer there, you're showing them pictures. Um, making sure that it just doesn't end at the end of the event, I think is key.
Yeah, I think that that is something that we should just pause on for a second, because having that next step, I just want the listeners to to attach to that. Have that next step available and ready for them, and know that this is just a first step in building that longer term relationship with them.
Yeah,
So,
it's it's a much harder leap to, if you're going to an event and you're like, I want to sell my product or I'm going to get new clients at this event. Um, that's a pretty hefty goal.
yeah,
Um,
that's
and it really might turn out better for you. You might actually convert more people if you bring them through a nurture sequence. So maybe your goal isn't looking for the clients. It's engaging people, bringing them in, they join your email list, and then you're
true.
nurturing them to convert. You might convert more and get more clients that way, just because it takes a little bit longer.
Yeah. I just posted episode 151 where I shared this training called the Silent Sell. And it's basically about that. Like, if you try and sell directly on an event, you're going to turn a lot of people off. It's more about building that relationship and handpicking the people who have already raised their hand and shown you, I want to be sold to, and then nurturing the rest.
Yeah. Yeah, it's setting yourself up as an industry expert and showing that's why, like, when I show up to an event, I want to do something like out of the box creative, because I want people to know, like, that's where we really shine, is doing things really differently. And the people that are drawn to that are going to want more of that, and then I can tell them, and this is how you can get support from us later. But if I started my event just talking about all of, marketing support, we kind of would fade into the background.
Yeah.
Just be
They would
another.
start tuning it out for sure.
Yeah.
As soon as someone smells sales, they're
Yeah.
like, "Ugh."
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, completely agree with you there. So, can you tell the audience how they can find you and work with you?
Yes. So I'm HaileyDankerMarketing.com, at Hailey Denker Marketing on Instagram and on LinkedIn. I'm loving LinkedIn lately, more for like conversations and people just kind of
You know,
asking
yeah.
asking questions about marketing, and so I love talking about this stuff. So if anyone wants to like connect with me on LinkedIn and just like talk about this stuff, I love that. Um, and then working with us. So again, we're mostly focused on service-based industries that are kind of at that point where they just want marketing off of their plate. Maybe, your team is at the point where they can't have marketing as their side job anymore. They have to really
Mhm.
focus on sales, and they need to focus on running the business, and you want to pass it off to a team. We're that team. So we do retainer services, heavily into strategy, and we integrate right into your company's culture so that you feel like we're just an extension of your team.
And you're working mainly with consumer facing service businesses like plumbing, hair salons, gyms, that kind of thing.
Yeah, even healthcare, hospitality. We actually love the challenge of, while we love working in fun industries like beauty and hospitality, home services, which can seem like they might not be as fun. We love transforming those and telling stories, and it works so well in collecting
They
leads.
need you.
Yeah, when a home service can stand out, they become like the only person to call. So those are really fun.
No, you are spot on about that, because so many of them don't market. So, like, if they
But
have
also,
you on their, yeah, they all do the same thing. They use the same color. So if they had someone like you on their side, they're just gonna pop off the page because everyone else just blends in.
yeah, we hope so. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks, Sarah. This is great.
You love all things tiny marketing, head down to the show notes page and apply to join the Tiny Marketing Club, where you get to work one-on-one with me with trainings, feedback, and pop-up coaching that will help you scale your marketing as a B2B service business. So I'll see you over in the club.